decks probably get banned for two reasons in Modern. Either this is like the best deck, obviously, and you don't want metagame to be focused around one deck so much, or this deck like leads to some matches that are not interesting at all. So, for example, if Neoform rises in win percentage points just a bit more, probably this will get banned because you lose so much on turn 0 or turn 1 that even if this deck is losing to itself like half of the games, the other half is just so frustrating that you don't want it in metagame anymore. And again, we have a card that is casting for 0. Neoform is not a problem as a card, just Allosaurus Rider, right? Because you cast for 0 card that should cost 7 or 6, and this is a problem, nothing more.
More 0 mana cards.
Yeah, and what they have printed, they have printed something for 0 mana recently. Not Mux Amber, not this Emery. Jeez, I think
Force of Vigor?
Force is another story. I mean, Force of Vigor is quite good and Force of Negation is very good, but those cards are mentioned to be answers, just to answer unfair decks, just to help regular decks to give a fair fight. And sadly, Force of Vigor has seen the most play in Hogak. So
yeah,
oops, we couldn't do it. Sorry, my bad. No 0 mana cards anymore. And is there any card in the new set that costs 0 mana? I thought
not that I can remember.
Once Upon a Time, of course.
Oh yes, there we go.
Yeah, and this is a card that gives more consistency for Neoform deck. Which
Neoform and Amulet Titan.
Yeah.
Which you saw a lot of in the SCG Open.
Yeah, and SCG is also always full of Amulet Titan, so they just like this deck. I don't know why. But, okay, so this is another deck, and it was always popular there, so I'm not surprised by that. I have seen people talking and discussing whether this card will be played in Tron, but there is no chance for Tron. I mean, mono green Tron, because you cannot find artifacts, you cannot find placewalkers, that's it, probably. Just Ancient Theories are much better. And maybe some devoted combo decks, but it would be sure good if you are very, very focused on very first combo, but this deck is not a big part of Modern, sadly, for me right now. So 0 mana cards always broken, and I think that in upcoming months we'll see more and more of this Urza Emery decks, and I guess they will get banned someday. Like Mox Opal will go in, maybe not in this, definitely not in this ban announcement, maybe in another one, and probably we have to wait for some results because if deck is not oppressing metagame and giving very high numbers in GPs, and if there is a chance PT, you just don't touch the deck because if you say we do this just not to make this happen will not be enough, and people will be very sad that I have bought this, I have bought that, I have my whole deck, and you just ban this for no reason. So they have to wait for results. But I think results just has to come. This deck is just super, super fast.
Well, what about Neoform though? Like, do we really have to wait for results for Neoform? I mean, this is clearly an archetype that is already pretty damn good, and it's just obvious that it inevitably will get printed some card to put it way over the top, and then it's just going to be a turn 0 deck over and over and over again. And it already has one upgrade in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand this printing of Once Upon a Time. This is like they are giving a weapon for this deck. They are giving them gun to hand. Like, why? This card was not... You could do anything you want. You could do it for, I don't know... It's okay. I will think for a second. If you just make it for 2 mana, it's still fine for standard, maybe fine for some modern decks. If you make it for 1 mana, it might be just too good. And you made it for 2 mana with an upgrade, you might play it for 0 sometimes. And why printing such card and just giving this to the deck that is already abusing all the rules? And I know that there are decks and people that are happy that they play against Neoform. If you play with Force of Negation, you're happy because one counter spell probably breaks the neck of this deck like for the whole game, and maybe there's your Inquisition Thoughts. This is also probably very good, but this is another reason we don't ban this deck because this is winning every GP, but because games with this deck are mostly not Magic games. We are just play pattern is so boring and so frustrating. We don't do this, and they have made a ban in Vintage, or restriction rather. because Mystic Forge and Karn are both restricted because games are won by those cards are just locked on the turn 0, turn 1, and this is something we don't want to see that often. And I think this reason is good enough to ban something from Neoform, probably Allosaurus Rider, and this is
that's probably what you need to do.
Yeah, because Neoform as a card is okay. We make another tutor that costs both green and blue. You enter with the counter and so on and so forth. This card is just fine. But this Allosaurus Rider that gets you to Griselbrand that fast, and honestly, you are dead in turn 1 like a lot, and if not, the deck is losing to itself. So this is like not a fun Magic, and I think that the ban will come, but this is very difficult to say when, because they need something to like. They need some argument, some reason. Either the deck has like very huge win percentage on game 1 or something like that. But honestly, what hate you gonna bring if you don't play counter Magic or discard? What you gonna do? The only thing that I can think of is either Pitting Needle or Gravedigger's Cage, and this is not the most popular hate right now. So you have really huge, I don't know, Slaughter Pact, turn 0 and die to the trigger. Honestly, how to interact with this deck? It's very difficult.
And not only that,
I think that the ban here is also necessary at some point.
They're picking up tools too. I mean, they picked up Force of Vigor to help protect themselves from the Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and also they can be a little patient to play around Force of Negation by holding up that Force
Force of Vigor. Oh, it is Pact of Negation.
No.
Veil of Summer.
What of Summer?
Veil of Summer.
Veil of
green
Summer.
Card that gives you Hexproof, yeah.
I can't remember. Did I say Veil of Summer in the first place, or did I say Force of Vigor?
You said Force of Vigor.
Okay, scrap that. They got Veil of Summer, which helps protect them against Inquisition, Thoughtseize, allows them to... So yeah, and draws a card, so it's to no disadvantage, and gives them protection against, of course, the Force of Negation decks, which we assumed is like the answer.
I have seen this deck playing main deck copies, I don't know how many, but main deck copies of Veil of Summer, and this shows how broken, how degenerate this deck is and might become, because you are playing at least card that does nothing, at best card that is winning the game, and in the middle it still draws a card. And if you main deck that hate, because it's a hate card, and again, this card is not a problem by itself. You can play it in, I don't know, in fact, in every other deck that is carrying, I know, Scapeshift, Mono Green Sean. Very good, very interesting card. You draw only against blue-black, you give yourself hexproof, and so on and so far. Very interesting card, and very, very nice. I like it a lot. But in this deck, it looks like, okay, this card is broken. No, this is not the problem with Veil of Summer, right? This is everything around it. In this deck. Yeah, and when you mentioned that this deck will pick up some more powerful cards and become more consistent and faster, I was thinking, okay, what else could they print? Because they cannot print another Griselbrand, just something to Neoform for, but they can print cards that give them consistency like Once Upon a Time and protection like Veil of Summer. And again, against black decks, they just bring 4 copies of Leyline, and again, this is not a funny game. Very, very strange printings, but as I mentioned, besides that, Once Upon a Time might be okay. We see how popular Amulet Titan might be, but Amulet Titan is not popular in Modern right now, so there is something wrong with the deck. The deck is powerful and should be, because metagame is like in the middle. You can play probably anything, but I don't know if artifact decks are the best opponents for Amulet Titan.
Well, I look at Amulet Titan like I look at KCI and Lantern Control. It's a pretty intimidating deck to pick up. Like it's not like you look at this and you know well, maybe people can assume they obviously know how to play the deck, but then they actually like draw 7 cards and they're like, okay, what land do I play first?
True.
How do I sequence any of this stuff? So, and like unless you have guidance, the whole deck doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to them. So it's not a very easy deck to pick up, and it certainly hasn't had a lot of hasn't had any results recently, especially before Eldraine has come out. So there's no real reason for anyone to even try it. But with the pickup of Once Upon a Time, there are some Amulet Titan results now popping up gradually, and maybe the SCG event might help popularize it as well. You know, like decks come in and out of fashion based on popularity too.